Okay. Sorry I missed yesterday. I knew it wasn't going to work out. It's one of those things where they tell you to show up at one time for an appointment and then they don't bring you until another time and then it takes forever. And I realized I forgot my Bible. And I was like, oh, I was going to do it in the car, but that didn't work out. So, verse 19, no, verse 22. We're in verse 22. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? You know, short and simple for this little section we are at right here. You know, things filter through the eye. I think in many ways you could almost relate this as James does to the tongue. You know, it's not what goes into the man that defiles a man, but what comes out of a man. You know, out of his heart proceeds all of these wicked things. And the idea is that when Jesus was speaking of what comes out of a man versus what goes into, the Jews were worried about what they ate and how they wash things. And Jesus is saying at the end of the day, what you eat and how you wash things, that's not really what shows your moral state. But what comes out of you, the things you say, well, that shows what's inside of you. But now, the lamp of the body is the eye. Where our eyes are going, it really speaks on the whole body. And watching our eyes and what we have our eyes on, well, it makes a difference. In the last chapter, Jesus talked about looking with lust, right? That if we look with lust, we've committed adultery in our hearts, and we can covet with our eyes. We can commit adultery with our eyes. And at the end of the day, what we put into our eyes is what goes into our body, and it's what feeds us. So it's not so much about this ceremonial washing of hands and washing of cups and plates and whatnot, but we're actually talking about truly what you're feeding yourself with your eyes. I'm going to flip on back to the book of Psalms, Psalm 100. And 101. And David says, I will set nothing wicked before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me. A perverse heart shall depart from me. I will not. First century is the stuff we watch like on TV and in movies and whatnot. It really does you. Oop, I had some internet problems. Am I internet on the internet? I am on the internet. Okay. Disconnected for a split second. But guys, it feeds you. It's the stuff that nourishes you. And have you ever noticed when you started hanging around a new group of people that you might pick up their lingo? You begin to say the things that they say, like whether it's just catchphrases. And I mean, I've done this with students. You hang around students as a teacher long enough, and you start saying some of their phrases because you hang out and you socialize with them. Well, it's the same thing with the stuff you watch. The things you put into your body have an effect on you. And maybe one of my best examples of this is, I think many of us, we know the things that are bad. Like we shouldn't watch these things because they're wicked, they're evil. I mean, it's just wrong. But it can go a bit further too. And, I've thought about how even violence in movies, it's a war movie. It's realistic, and that's true. And I watch war movies sometimes. But an emphasis is really the day and age in which we live, the ability to make graphic gore and action and battles and whatnot so realistic. In many ways, it has somewhat numbed us to the image of human suffering when we see people being killed and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's like it's something we've seen so much, we can actually become numb to it. What about the stuff that we watch, when it comes to just, romance? Well, it might not be graphic sexual nudity, but again, I think we send a message to ourselves and to our kids when they watch unwed couples obviously engaging in sexual intimacy, but off screen. But what's going on is still there and it's painting a picture. Or how about this one? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I've got a good marriage and I have an amazing wife. But, don't tell her I said but. Um, how many of you guys have watched romance movies? And honestly, movies with sex scenes and stuff like that. And for all of us married folks, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, is that what our married life looks like? Is that what our romance life looks like? Guys and girls on this, right? Men and women. When we watch what happens on screen and there's magic and there's fireworks and there's all these things, and then we find ourselves maybe disappointed with our own marriage because, I mean, it's not like I was trying to think of a sappy, romance movie, but I couldn't come up with anything. But you get the idea. Through the eyes, we begin to take in ideas of what should normal look like. I mean, we can just do lifestyles of the rich and famous and find ourselves coveting and less satisfied with what we have because we're looking at all these other things that other people have. And so it's just a reminder that the eyes are a gateway that leads into our bodies, and it really is what has this impact on ourselves and what we've got going on inside of us. And so if we can't keep our eyes in check, well, everything else will kind of follow, right? What we choose to watch and choose to see and witness, well, other things will follow suit after that. And so you might as well move the battle line rather than struggling with temptation after watching bad stuff. Move the battle line to where the battle is not how you respond to what you have watched, but how you choose what you do watch, right? I mean, putting this stuff into application and making decisions as a family that, it's really simple too, actually. It's probably too simple, and I think we all wish it was a little harder because it's as simple as this, is you could stop right now and you could decide, am I going to watch shows that take the Lord's name in vain? If you say no, I won't give them my money or my support, well, you might have just cut out 80% of television and movies. Are you okay with that? If you say, we are not going to watch any film in our home that displays or portrays premarital relations as acceptable or normal, you're going to cut out a lot of stuff. It's really easy to want to justify the show when you already have a desire to watch the show, but when you have a decision that, no, we've made priorities on what we're going to do, well, that makes a difference. So, things to consider, things to think about. I grew up loving movies. I still love movies. I just have to be much more selective these days on what I can watch. I'm always excited about a nice PG-13 action, kind of fun flick or something like that. So here's hoping that maybe Hollywood or whoever is listening and they'll create more things that are, a little bit of action, not too much action, and kind of tone down all the other stuff that's not needed to make a good movie. So, all right, there's what you got for today. We'll continue on chapter 6 tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Tomorrow is Friday. I'll be here. Perfect. All right. God bless you guys. Take care.